What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jersey Comic Crew. Chris and Rob here, and today we are breaking down and reviewing Strange Adventures, the latest 12-issue Max series from DC Comics and writer Tom King. Kind of similar to what he did with Vision and Mr. Miracle. Strange Adventures just finished up, and Rob and I really wanted to give our thoughts and kind of talk a little bit about the ins and outs of what went on in the series going forward. So, Rob, what did you kind of think about this latest chapter in Tom King's kind of Elseworld separation books that he's been doing lately?
And the reason this book is so good, but also I have some, criticisms on it, is because this book very much so was an Alana Strange book less than an Adam Strange. The reason I say that, yes, it's Adam Strange is on the title. He turns from like this everyday hero into like this heart of war criminal. He killing people. Essentially a guy with PTSD trying to save his daughter. But like the back and forth with the flashbacks to present day, right? Chris mentioned a different artist, and that's because like the flashbacks are bright, colorful, typical comic style. The present day is like Mitch Gerard style, that dark and gritty universe that you get that's pretty much synonymous with what's going on, right? And then you also see Alana Strange. Her personality back then was happy and go lucky. Now she's dark and bitter. And Adam is kind of the same throughout the flashbacks and current. We understand now it's because he's hiding it, right? Like he's lying and stuff like that. But going through this whole thing of seeing this contrast, you see how Alana got hardened and strained and darkened, and how she has to do stuff to save her country and all this kind of stuff. Ultimately, the big reveal at the end that like he did all this is she accidentally kills Adam, goes with Mr. Terrific, which we'll touch upon in a second, saves her daughter, says, forget Earth, I gotta go back to Rand, and I gotta deal with this, right? It just shows like how far a mother's willing to go. She's like, oh, I was happy-go-lucky. I became jaded because of all this kind of stuff, and now like I have to save my kid. It really showed like a whole beautiful arc for her, which you don't really appreciate until the end of the book, and you're sitting back. Again, I reiterate and show you like the difference in art. Like these little nuances that you don't really get why they're doing this until the end. So like I think this book is fantastic on a Strange storyline. Yeah. For an Adam Strange storyline, like it's fine, right? Like he's a man from Rand and he has to teleport back and forth unwillingly, which that isn't really delve into too much. He sells out Earth to like have the Pike destroy everything, and apparently tricks Batman in like 0.2 seconds. I'm like, all right, whatever. And he becomes dark and jaded just to do all this. Cool, I get it. But for me, Alana Strange is the hero of this book, and her story arc makes the book worth it for me.
No, absolutely. Alana was fantastic in this story arc. I specifically love that she is kind of like the political dynamic of a lot of presidents and families, right? Where you have the male is like the hero in the front, but the real control and the one that's helping that person make all the decisions is in the back. And she is definitely not a damsel in distress in this story, where the flashbacks you have her as like she's royalty, right? She's the princess of Rand. She falls in love with the soldier, and you can tell how that shifts in the present, not only with just the aspect of art style, but she also has a cigarette in her hand in like every scene in the present, where compared to the past, she's, like you said, happy-go-lucky, and now she's kind of like depressed and just going through the motions. She's got like a smoke every time. I did think that Alana's story is kind of the heart of this story.
Yeah.
Where it's the background, but it's the over arc, right? Where you have Act 1 is, getting off of Rand, getting through the war. Act 2 is telling the story of Adam Strange and Rand, and Act 3 is, what happened to my daughter and the truth. And those aspects are very good. I agree with you too about Adam's side, where he's the warmonger that's the face of this like hope and this gloom and doom threat that will come to Earth that apparently the Justice League cannot face. I do wish that was a little more delved into, because if you're going to come out and say that, and you're going to tell me like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, and the company can't handle this, but the guy with the jetpack and the laser gun can, I need a little more than just, we just know they can, right? Like, I need a little more than just that.
So I got a question for you, and I kind of want to take this in, like, if we had to make this story more condensed, and I don't mean with the plot and everything, but I'm talking about, like, making it more localized on characters. Mr. Terrific was cool, and I get, like, he's going to raise a daughter afterwards, but I almost wish we took out Mr. Terrific's character, and if you added, again, Alana investigating while she's writing all this, because she's realizing, wait, what's going on? Something's not making sense. I think that would have pushed the storyline even further, because then it would have turned into more of this, like, spousals going back against each other. Like, one's keeping a secret, one's trying to figure it out. She's already been through so much, and you get a good value of that towards the end. And I get you putting Mr. Terrific in there to kind of like, oh, the Justice League have to investigate. It makes sense. But I think it would have been a better localized story if Alana was doing it and he was like, you actively see him maybe trying to hide stuff or like dismissing her, and you're almost like on Adam's side, like, no, he's a war hero. He did all this for you. And then you have the audacity to be investigating him about your daughter. Why would he lie about this? And then I think the reveal would have been more impactful, because when you have Mr. Terrific in that story, right? And like, he knew from like day 3 of what was going on, and like you already knew that something was wrong and he told you. It kind of made the reveal not as sweet, because it's like, oh, Mr. Terrific already knew. We already knew because he already knew, but we have no idea what it was. And now we just know. I think that would have been better, maybe back and forth. But then again, you might have too much of an Alana story, not enough Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange. Adam Strange. There's a lot of Strange going on in here. That's just my take on it, but it's still a fantastic book.
No, that's interesting, because my original take after finishing the book was, man, I really just want a Mr. Terrific story like this.
But I think that's why they put him in there.
I think so too. Like, I can totally see Tom King's like next Max DC Black Label series being a Mr. Terrific storyline, because from day 1 where he's like doing this investigation where Batman's like, he's gonna do it, I'm giving this to him, and he's waking up and doing like his daily rituals, not only like working out for his like physical fitness, but his mental fitness, where his T-spheres are asking him ridiculous like Jeopardy questions all day,
but like,
and he's just knowing them. I thought that was interesting. I thought his investigation was interesting, but now I honestly didn't think about that, Rob, where if Alana was kind of like put in the Lois Lane role,
correct,
of the investigative reporter, not only does it add to the Strange dynamic because you have the lovers' quarrel that is inevitable, but it gives that ending last 2 issues of her like accidentally killing him in anger a little more gravitas. And that is something I think that book needed, where
it did.
You know, at the end, the gravitas wasn't there. And that may be because the spotlight got shifted to Mr. Terrific throughout that, like, the middle climax section.
Yeah.
And maybe he should have just been saved for his own book, because that's what I kind of wanted at the end.
But like you said, you kind of want that at the end. I absolutely do not want that. The reason I don't, like, I think, would it be a great book? Yes. Am I going to buy it? Yes. I'm going to love it. Cool. But it's more of the same. It's just going to be a detective noir that's Batman with a different skin on, essentially. Like, it's a different version of Batman being a detective without the Bat family. It's just a regular guy. And maybe we're going to see more of his family and that kind of stuff. It's kind of like the same thing we've seen again with a different character. The great thing with Tom King's books is he's tackling on these older heroes or these more obscure characters and give the stories that we really haven't seen before. Mr. Terrific would fit the first part of the bill, right? It'd be an obscure character or a lesser-known character we haven't really seen before. But the storyline, maybe this is me, my ignorance, and I don't know what he has planned. I can't see this being anything but a detective noir that I've seen 1,000 times with Batman, and probably done better with Batman. And I know Tom King can write Batman because he's done it. He can just take that skill set and change it. So maybe that's why they put Mr. Terrific in there, to like sell a different book that's coming out that hasn't been solicited. Like I said, it doesn't make the book worse that he's in there, but I think it could have been a cool avenue to see what it would have been like to have the more localized story.
I think I would like to see a Mr. Terrific book for that kind of sense right there. We kind of expect anything detective wise to be Batman. It's not up to us to change that, right? Like, show me you could do something different than DC. Show me you can break the mold of just Batman detective stories or leave that for Batman, the style of detective story. I want to see a Mr. Terrific style of detective story that ups, whether it's the intelligent factor or the puzzle solving, or maybe it's just not based on something Gotham crime bossy. It's based on, you know, a larger political faction or a different world or planet, trying to figure out stuff that is foreign to, you know, he's so intelligent that he has to learn, like in this, he learned a new language.
Quicker
He
than
learned
Batman
the piped
could.
language that only Batman was able to do. And also you have, like, especially the first thing I thought of was the race factor, where you
True.
have a black man like Mr. Terrific who is a high intellectual level, in like the 1% of intellect. And throughout the book, you could possibly just have people that don't necessarily think he's that smart and underestimate him, and that becomes a part of their downfall in the storyline. So I think I would love a story like that, especially with how they've kind of set up his character in this. I just think there's so much potential there, regardless of him taking, you know, Aaliyah, which is Alana and Strange's kid, and kind of raising her as the surrogate dad while she's back on Rand trying to fix the mess that Adam left her. That, to me, is a story you could totally do, which is either like a mini sequel, like a spin-off sequel, or something along the lines of that, because I don't know. I agree with you, Rob. I think Alana should have been more of the focal point for the story. Maybe set up Terrific there and be like, this is what's going on, and while he's doing all the smart stuff, but like save more of that for his own story. And you could have focused on Alana kind of being the wife in the background who figures out that her husband ends up being the monster and not the hero, which is kind of like the Greek tragedy.
Just to wrap up, final thoughts here, Chris. I do want to say to everybody, obviously we have our criticisms of what we wish could have been done better. It's so much easier to do it in this position. I think they destroyed this book. I think they did a fantastic job.
Good or bad?
This is very good.
Destroyed is
destroyed.
Good or bad?
Destroyed. Like
Okay.
they did a very good job. This is definitely something I'm gonna buy in trade and like have this on my shelf. It's definitely worthy. It's also, I don't really have a lot of Adam Strange information, so I think this is gonna be perfect for anybody's collection. And I really hope you guys enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, for me, Rob, I would say it was pretty good. A lot of storylines going on, a lot of stuff that never connected for me. It's very dense. I wanted more from this style of storytelling when it comes to an enclosed story. I still think the better versions of this is obviously Vision is one of the best, but I think the best one that Tom King's ever done is Kite Man in that Batman run.
That little story he did with
I
Kite
still
Man,
don't think anything beats the Kite Man story, but this is definitely an interesting step for characters that we don't get a lot of, insight on. But I did want more as far as cohesive storyline and storytelling, and hopefully they do some more stuff in the future with that.
And with that, guys, we want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Have you read Strange Adventures? Have you finished it? Do you enjoy it? Do you have similar opinions as us? Is this something that you're going to buy and put on your shelf? Let us know down in the comments below.
And guys, thanks so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up, really helps the channel out a lot. If you're new, subscribe and turn on those notifications. Yes, we do still talk comics, so make sure you come back for all our comic talk. And if you missed any videos, they're right all over here on the channel. And as always, I'm Chris Heller. That is Rob Moran. We're the Jersey Comic Crew, and we will see you next time.